Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us for another one of our wonderful broadcasts concerning Celestis and their Memorial Spaceflight missions. This broadcast will be, as you know, focusing purely on the heritage flight, and we see a lot of people that are in our comment section right now. Make sure you, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask on this broadcast, please do not hesitate. We do have a Q&A session that we will be initiating. My name is Mark Lee, and I am your ambassador for Celestis. I've joined you for a number of previous broadcasts, but this is a very, very important and an exciting one. And we would hope that you would stay here for the entire broadcast and listen to all of the valuable information that we have. But without any further ado, I'd like to introduce to you our godfather, as I like to call him, Charles Chafer himself. Charles, you look good, man.
Thank you.
How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Well, this is an exciting day for all of us, isn't it?
Yep, we're at 32 days and counting at this point.
32 days and counting, which obviously means we have a launch date. Is that correct?
Kind of.
Kind of close to certainty, though, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah. What can you tell us, Charles?
Sure. Thank you, and welcome to everybody. I know you're anxiously awaiting, as we all are, the launch of Celestis 16, the heritage flight, which will take 152 souls to orbit. Orbital prediction right now is probably in the 20 to 25 year range, and of course will be tracked on our via NORAD on our website after launch. Launch is officially scheduled by the Air Force, whose mission we are delighted to be on, the Air Force STP2 mission, scheduled for June 22nd. The reason I said kind of is because the launch window, which is the time frame within which the launch will occur, has not yet been announced, and we are hearing various scenarios, some of which actually begin on the evening of June 21st. So hang on to your hats and stay tuned to our website, celestis.com, our events page, events.celestis.com. And for those of you who have registered to attend, you'll be receiving regular communications from us via email. Make sure you put us on your safe subscribe list. Be launch team at celestis.com. And that way we won't have the phenomenon of bounced emails or emails not delivered and you sitting there thinking, those guys aren't talking to me. We're trying to talk to you, believe me. Everybody that we have an email address for, we send emails to. They don't always get through, but we're pretty good about making sure we get the messages out. So basically, we have 3 days of planned events around the heritage flight, beginning with the opening of registration at our headquarters hotel, which is the Radisson at the Port in Port Canaveral or Cape Canaveral, Florida. That will start approximately, I believe we scheduled it, and I honestly look at our agenda and you'll see, but I think we start in the afternoon on the 20th and go till the early evening of the 20th, reopening on the morning of the 21st as well. And for that, that's basically check-in because you need to register with us in order to attend our events. And again, the way you register is by going to events.celestis.com, and up will come the registration page. But the check-in will be working the afternoon and early evening of the 20th and the morning of the 21st. Also, for those of you that are arriving on the 20th, that's a good day to go take your tour of the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex. You could either do it on the 20th or again the morning of the 21st. Now that tour is an on your own tour. We do not control nor do we conduct tours of the Kennedy Space Center. They have handed that enormous task off to a corporation called the Delaware North Corporation that operates all the tours and all the visitor attractions. So in order to do that, you'll need to go there directly and do your tours. You can also do the tours post-launch if you decide to. Recommend it if you've never been there. It's America's space program writ large, and not just kids and space geeks, but everybody enjoys doing those tours. Our events start in the afternoon on the 21st of June. I believe we scheduled our memorial service, which is non-sectarian, and really it's the families talking about their loved ones who are on board the flight and giving us a brief insight into the lives of the people that they're honoring aboard the mission that will fly the next day. And that's currently scheduled from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock on the 21st. At 5:30 on the 21st, we'll have what we call the pre-launch reception, dinner, and briefing, all in one. That'll also be conducted right there at the Radisson at the port. And we have some special guests. Our guest host, we always try to bring an astronaut in as a speaker and guest host. And this time I'm pleased to announce astronaut Winston Scott will be our astronaut celebrant. And he'll speak to us about things only astronauts have experienced, like what it's like to be in orbit, something that your loved ones will vicariously be doing the next day. We also have a representative from our spacecraft builder. Remember, Celestis always flies as what's called a secondary payload. And in this instance, we are secondary aboard the General Atomics, that's the company, Orbital Test Bed, or OTB spacecraft. This is the first in a series of spacecraft that they've designed to kind of be like condominiums, which is, we'll provide the power, the platform, the telemetry, you bring the experiment. And in this case, the experimenters include NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory flying a deep space atomic clock, the Air Force Academy flying a sensor that cadets built, the Air Force itself flying a solar array, several other experiments are on board, and of course us. And all of us are flying aboard OTB-1. And OTB-1 will be integrated along with 23 other satellites onto a Falcon Heavy Rocket. The entire mission is conducted by the Air Force Space Test Program. They're the sponsor, if you will. We're happy to be on board. It will be launched from historic Pad 39A at the Kennedy Space Center, and it will be quite a show because the windows that we're hearing about are in the evening or the early morning, so that you'll get what is functionally a night launch, unless it all changes. And that's the next caveat for everything that we're doing, is everything can change. But what I'm telling you now is pretty much solid and pretty much the plan. We'll be viewing the launch from one of two locations that we've selected. We're not announcing those yet. They're both afford really spectacular views of the launch and also views of the landing of the two outside boosters that fly on Falcon Heavy. Again, what we're reading is that the plan is to bring those back. that can be changed. But we selected the site to be able to see both of those events, both launch and landing, as well as if it's dark enough, you'll see stage separation as well. So it'll be a great show. More on that. Well, we'll know definitively by the time of our next Facebook Live event, which will be June 17th, a week or so before the launch. As we find out the launch window, though, of course, if you've registered with us, we'll send you that information. For your planning purposes, the best thing to do is to try to be there the 20th, and don't plan to leave until at the earliest the 23rd. And if you can build flexibility in, rockets have been known to be delayed, even up to, I think I've said on this broadcast previously, I've seen launches ended between 1 second and 0. And so you don't, when it goes, and you know it goes when you see it flying is something that's good to live by. But having some flexibility in your schedule is a good thing. And there's really no better place than Florida to, the beach, Disney World, whatever, if you've got to hang around for more days. The other piece of news that I have today is, just as of today, OTB arrived at the Kennedy Space Center. So we know that your loved ones are currently have moved from Denver to the Cape, to the Kennedy Space Center, where they'll be integrated aboard the Falcon rocket. Some other payloads that are on that rocket are of interest. Again, as there's 24 total. One of them that many of you may know about is the Planetary Society's Light Sail 2, which is a solar sail test. There's also the U.S.-Taiwan Cosmic Constellation, which is a weather imaging constellation, which will fly. As we've talked about, there are 3 separate orbits that the rocket is going to. We reside in orbit 2, and so it's a complicated mission. Fortunately, we don't add to the complication because we're along for the ride, and we don't need any telemetry, and we don't need any electricity or anything like that. But it is a very challenging mission. So I think those are all the things I wanted to mention. Again, register if you want to come. Go to events.celestis.com. It'll be 3 days not to miss, particularly if you have a loved one on board. But if you're one of our prearranged clients, and by that I mean somebody that has contracted with us to fly at their time of need, or if you just like to see amazing space missions and meet astronauts, you're welcome. We do not limit our events to only our participants or their families, but I will say some of the venues that we're looking at do have limits on how many people they can host. In that case, we'll be at 2 venues, but my advice is if you'd like to come, you need to let us know, and we'll be happy to host you. So with that, Mark, I think I'll take a break and see if you've got any more questions, or otherwise move the program forward.
Oh, I'm definitely going to have some questions for you. I don't see questions as of yet. Okay. In our comment section. I implore all of the people that are watching, we do have a large amount of people that are watching this. I'm sure you have questions. You can go ahead and type those in right now, and we'll bring them to Charles' attention, and he can go ahead and answer them. While you're doing that, I just want to make a reminder that after this broadcast, in the next probably 15 minutes at least, or after the questioning is done, we will have a special guest that I think all of you will be interested in listening to and speaking to. This is a very, very important young man. We're really, really proud to have him here with us today. But in the meantime, There's a lot of information. This, as well as the next broadcast, are very, 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 very important. Also remember that even if you have someone who wanted to see this broadcast but are not available to see this broadcast, we do tape it. We do upload it to our Facebook page, and you can rewatch this again. So if there's any information that you need, to pause or listen to again, you can do that.
We also, Mark, if I may, upload
yes, please.
it to our YouTube channel.
Right.
So that if you, for any reason, don't access Facebook, you can go. You wouldn't know this now because you're on Facebook, but if you've got friends that want to see this, you can direct them tomorrow to our YouTube channel. And that brings up one other point to make, which is our events in Florida will be webcast. The launch itself will be on several platforms. Our memorial service and dinner will be uploaded to our YouTube channel either the day of or shortly thereafter, so that if you have someone on board but you can't make it to Florida to see the launch, you can see all of the major events of the activity, both live webcast of launch and tapes of memorial service and pre-launch briefing.
Right. So basically, exactly what Charles said. There will definitely be some memorial or special things you can watch if you cannot attend the launch or know this broadcast. I'm sorry, I was distracted for a little while. Charles, we have questions coming in. I was trying to talk and read at the same time. I'm not good at that. So why don't we go ahead and put up the first question up here for Charles, and I will read it for you guys as well. Joe Licata. Joe, hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. Approximately how far will the viewing area be from the launch site, and will buses be provided to us there, or will we be driving ourselves?
It's a great question, and the answer is we don't yet know. There are several options. The farthest one is the place that we hosted our families at the New Frontier flight, which was the last time we flew on a Falcon out of Cape Kennedy or Cape Canaveral. It's right there, snuggled up next to the Cape, and it's a park that we will reserve the pavilion at and view it from. I think that's about 8 miles. Another one that we're looking at is more like 5 miles, and that one is dependent upon the launch window. There are, and I should mention that during some missions, the Kennedy Space Center opens and provides public viewing access from a couple of spots. One of them, I think, is 5 miles away. The other one is about 4 miles away. The reason that we don't know whether they're going to open or not yet is because the launch windows haven't been announced. Some of those launch windows extend from 2 a.m. till 5:45 a.m., well outside of the operating time frame of the Kennedy Center Visitor Center, and they don't reopen for those. So what we've done, and it's all of this information is on our events page, and we encourage you to read it. It's in the FAQs. What we tell everybody is sign up with us. If you want to go to the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Center, and the pluses of that are it's nearer to the launch. It's actually not as close to the landings, but it is nearer to the launches, as close as you can get. But the minuses are longer drive, more traffic, non-refundable tickets. You buy them, you own them. And if they scrub the mission and you're on the launch and you're on the property, you buy another round of tickets. And there are no children's tickets. They range in price from $100 a person to $200 per person. And what we've said is for any of our family members who have signed up with us and want to do the 3-day package, but then they decide, hey, I won the lottery, I'm going to go ahead and spend the full amount to go there. We'll refund $35 of the ticket that you purchased from us, and you can put that toward your Kennedy Space Center launch tickets. So again, I encourage you to read about everything. We don't care where you watch it from. There are advantages to both. As I said, I think you'll get a better view of the landing from where we are. But, after the first 5 seconds, everybody's view is the same because those things get up off the pad and leave rather quickly. So it's up to you. Now, as to transportation, for our locations, they're near enough to the hotel that we're staying at. And in fact, all the hotels of Cocoa Beach, that we just tell you to drive there, and in your ticket pricing is free parking. And so you don't have to pay extra to park. We are looking there are a few people that want to take a shuttle from Orlando to Cocoa Beach. We're looking in to see whether we can lease 1 or 2 buses for those folks. But the public transportation facilities in Cocoa Beach are not well known, let's put it that way. And particularly for the launch windows that we're looking at, which, as I say, begin late at night and some of them extend all the way through till dawn. It's just not particularly feasible to provide that. And as a result, again, in our FAQs, we recommend that you rent a car or ride share with a friend or something like that.
Okay. All right. We got a lot to get through here, Charlie. So
okay. I'll try to be more brief, but that was a great question.
Yeah. And it's needed to know. So don't not make it any shorter if it's, definitely something they need to know. Kelly here says, can you provide more detail? You may have covered this, but of course she wants to know more details on the tour. For example, where do we go and where do we park, which you kind of partly covered that already, but I guess any other details you can tell us on the tour?
Not really. You go to the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Center, which is probably about a 25 minute drive from Cocoa Beach. And you park in the parking lot. You can't miss it.
Okay, I'm going to do a quick hello that's addressed to you from this gentleman here.
Yeah.
I think, was he on out in New Mexico? Did he?
No, he has a participant on the Heritage flight. No, it was a Horizon flight. Excuse me. The flight
it was Horizon
after Heritage.
Excellent. Okay, hello, Teresa. How are you? We're going to your question now. And as soon as I get this last one here, and you say, where do I find information about the rooms available and the special price of the hotel?
Hi, Teresa, and thanks for joining us tonight. Events.celestis.com, and you just scroll down to the section on hotels, and we list, I believe it's the La Quinta Oceanside, where there's still some rooms available. If you have no luck there, get in touch with me and we'll help you out.
Excellent. Okay. That was Teresa. And Jerry here says, I have registered, but need to change names on the tickets. I could not figure out how to do that on the registration site.
You know what, Jerry? Neither could we. We're working on it. We have several tickets with our site provider. What you can do is send an email to CS, that's Charlie Small, CS1 @celestis.com with the names of all of your registrants. And we can do it here. We can take care of it for you, and we'll do it, and then we'll get back to you and double check it.
Excellent. Jim has another question for us. This is interesting. Charlie, you already told me about this, what I thought was very interesting. And he says, how was the satellite delivered to the Cape? Plane, train, truck?
I believe they trucked it from Denver. And as I said, I got an email today saying it has arrived safe and sound. I got a photo of it and everything. We'll post the photo of it's really cool. It's the spacecraft all buttoned up and ready to fly. And we'll get that posted on our social media very soon.
Okay, here's a question that may be answered on our website, but Essie, hello Essie, says, what about Uber or Lyft for transportation?
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it from Orlando because it'll probably cost a fortune. It's about a 60-mile drive from Orlando to the Cocoa Beach. There are shuttles that are much more cost effective for that. Within Cocoa Beach itself, I've never tried Uber or Lyft. I have one of our key consultants lives there. I will ask her and we will add that to the FAQs. But again, remember, almost everything's good. If you're at the Radisson, you don't need to travel anywhere other than that. If you're not, it might be a way to go from your hotel to the Radisson. On launch day, I'm not sure that I would trust seeing the launch based on Uber or Lyft. And that's not an attack on them. I just don't know how many drivers they've got at 3 a.m. And again, so much of this depends on when the launch window is. Stay in touch with us. We will let you know just as soon as it's announced.
Right. And if I could help on that, Essie, I think you can go on to your Uber website and you can literally plug in, location A to location B and could come up to a price. I'm about halfway. I live in Orlando, by the way, and I have taken the Uber from the airport before to my home, and that was approximately a 35-minute ride, and it was dead at night too. It was like 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, something like that, and it cost me $70. So if that gives you any idea of what it could cost, still go on the site and check it out. It may be less. I don't know what's happened. I haven't taken an Uber in a while. Jessica says here, hello, Jessica, glad you could join us. Is there a certain date that the registration will close?
Yeah, we've events.celestis.com. I believe we've said it is June 15th.
Okay, June 15th is that. There's a lot of our Celestis team posting some information on our board as well. So take a look at that. Some of your answers may already be answered via our staff that's already answering. Let's see.
And they're actually reading it from the page rather than from my increasingly feeble memory.
That's pretty cool though. Essie meant also, I'm assuming in terms of Uber, from the hotel to where we watched the launch. That's maybe, but that's why we're trying to arrange either ride shares, meaning we're going to try to get people to volunteer. It's 1.4 miles, so it's not that far. Either one of those is not very far. But there's also, we are looking into, we do not have confirmed that we'll have some amount of hotel bus transportation. Okay. Carol has a question here. It says mini cab companies in the area.
Carol is our on-site person. She knows from where she speaks. I would pay attention to her.
Excellent. Excellent.
And they probably do run at 3 a.m.
Right. Well, that'll be interesting. All righty. Joe has another question. He says, being a Florida resident, I know how bad traffic can get on launch days, especially with the Falcon Heavy. Do you anticipate having the viewing area open hours before the launch time to avoid some of that traffic?
The short answer is yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't want anybody to miss the launch. So we do. Short answer is yes. And again, we'll announce once we get an actual launch window, we'll announce some of that stuff. But until you have that, it's kind of silly to put anything up.
Yeah, I think folks should understand that, even though we have a lot of information for today, we're going to have even more information either prior or at our next broadcast, and then via email or whatever type of communication that our team here decides they want to alert you to.
And we may decide to have call-in briefings. I did that last time we launched out of Florida. We just did weekly call-ins rather than even Facebook. And so if you've registered with us and we have your information, this is the other thing I need to say is that we've been getting a lot of, hey, I never heard from you. And it's because you changed your email address from the last time that you sent it to us, or your phone is no longer working. We can't communicate with you if you don't communicate with us, is all I'll say. We will go to the ends of the earth if you've registered with us to make sure you get our information. But if you've got a really aggressive spam filter, if you've got a new email address since the last time you talked with us, if you don't answer the phone but you answer a different phone, we cannot divine that. We must be told that.
Okay. All right. Tom, this must be Joe's brother. He asked, do you need ID to get on the Space Center property?
I don't know, because the visitor center, I don't know, I imagine they do, but I would not come without ID.
Agreed. I was going to say the same thing. You're coming on a government facility. Okay. Let's please not have, any unfortunate incidents happen. Just be well identified. Right. Passports, driver's license, whatever you have, you're on a government facility. So take that in hand. Okay. Let's see. Martha. Hello, Martha. Do we need to bring chairs to the launch? Great question.
Yeah, very good question.
I can't get them all in my car, so.
Right. Those umbrella chairs are extremely handy, and we recommend that almost regardless. Some of the venues, both of the venues that we look at have some seating. None of them can accommodate the several hundred guests that we'll have. So we will set aside special areas for ADA or special needs folks. But everybody else, if you don't want to sit on the sand or sit on the ground, bring an umbrella chair. It's a good question.
Yeah, Charles, do we have a number of, if you can reveal this, do we have a number of guests of our group, Celestis, that will be attending this launch so far?
My estimate is it's going to be about 300.
Wow.
We're a little bit short of that, but we only opened up registration Friday. So wow. It may go higher. I will say we had 700 people pre-register. We can accommodate all 700 if all 700 want to come, but my guess is that we'll have about 300, 350 guests.
Okay. All right. Our New Mexico launch, we had about 80 people, I do believe, right?
And the last time we flew out of Florida, we had about 200.
Aha. Okay. Well, it looks like we're going to exceed that one. Let's see. We had, let's see. This looks like this is from Kelly. Kelly says, had a little problem with the tickets, which was fixed promptly. Thank you. Your system needs a unique email address for each guest. Otherwise, the tickets have the wrong names on them. Has this problem been addressed? Do you understand that, Charlie?
I do.
Okay, good. Thank goodness.
The answer is it has been addressed. Thank goodness she didn't ask, has it been solved? So, believe me, we have a number of tickets, as they say, with the people that provide backstage, the Zoho folks, and we're working on it. And again, we'll make sure, even if we have to call you and handwrite the name of the people that come, that we have everybody's name correctly on the tickets. But she has correctly identified a flaw in the system, and we have addressed it. We haven't yet solved it.
Right. For anyone who hasn't joined us before on any of our other launches, if you haven't sent any other family members on any of our previous launches, we are family. We treat you like a family. You're going to make a lot of friends at this recent launch. We make sure that all of our customers are satisfied and taken care of. So please, if you have any questions between now and launch day, please ask them, and we will respond.
And the majority of our staff has been with us for more than 2 decades.
Yeah, fantastic people. Absolutely fantastic people, folks. You're really going to enjoy us. Okay, Greg says, will mission-specific memorabilia, oh, good question, Greg. Will mission-specific memorabilia, such as the mission patch, etc., be available for purchase?
Yes. At the registration, at the Radisson.
Right. Greg, I have no autographed photos of myself, so, you're on your own. Okay.
Take a selfie and you can.
Yeah, you bring a selfie. Yeah, that's right. They can do that. Oh, and then I have to charge. Anyway, wow. Hello, Sharon. How are you? Sharon here says, my sister Diane is a participant on the Memorial flight. I won't be able to attend the launch, and so very pleased that I can watch the launch live on either Facebook or YouTube, so won't miss out. Thank you for ensuring we all feel part of the fabulous, emotional, and exciting event. Such an exciting time ahead. Thank you all once again for the ongoing updates and information. Sharon, I am so sad after what you just said that we're not going to meet you in person. It is a once-in-a-lifetime incredible experience that I had, the privilege to have been a witness to. And my God, you need to be here, Sharon. So bless your sister, by the way. We'll take good care of her. Okay.
We will. You will see it live, the launch, and we'll do a bang-up job putting up the memorial service. And don't forget, Sharon, that afterwards we have a very professional production team put together a video of all 3 days of the event that becomes a keepsake for you.
Sharon, if you can, visit our YouTube page and take a look at some videos of previous launches that we've had, and that'll give you an idea of how good we are. Okay, Charlie, I see no more questions now.
Let's go to John.
Yeah, I want to invite people to please hang around, because the person that I'm about to bring up to you right now has a direct association with us, and especially during this launch. And he is a young man who has an incredible gallery of photographs. John is talented beyond his years, and he has access beyond all of our accesses to Kennedy Spaceport, and Cape Kennedy, Cape Canaveral. Good grief, I live here and I can't even say it right. John, how are you?
Good. How are you? Can you hear me?
Oh, good to hear. Well, while you guys are here, I want you guys to kind of real quickly take a look at John's work. John, I do understand you're 19 years old, and you have taken incredible photographs, as you see right now, folks, of special launches. And what are you doing for us, John?
So I'm going to be photographing the launch on behalf of you guys. I'll have cameras at the launch pad, and then I'll also be shooting how you guys are viewing the launch offsite. I'll be viewing it from somewhere, offsite or on site, I'm not sure yet, and shooting from there as well.
So let me say welcome, John Kraus, and let's put up his website, because part of the way this young man is able to do what he's able to do is that he offers his photos for sale. And I ran into his photos, and as we were looking for someone, we always have coverage of our launches, and the photos just blew me away. And then I discovered, hey, it's a kid.
Yeah,
and
it
John,
happens sometimes.
I want to ask two things. How'd you get started, and what motivated you to do what you're doing?
So it's kind of an anticlimactic answer, but I first started with photography about 4 years ago, and I just bought a camera because I was bored. There's really no other reasoning behind it. I just thought it'd be a cool hobby to get into, and I didn't even get into it with the intention of photographing launches, but about a month after I started, there was a launch, and I decided to go shoot it from the beach near my house. And from there, it just turned into an obsession, and I started shooting everyone I could. And then motivation to keep doing it, it's just I don't think there's a such thing as a perfect image, but I'm still going to try to chase it. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So how many launches have you covered? And talk a little bit about the process, because you just don't stroll on to the Kennedy Space Center and start snapping photos. So talk to us a little bit about your setup, how you got approved, all those kinds of things.
So I've photographed about 70 to 75 launches in the last 4 years or so, but because I grew up on the Space Coast, I've seen I couldn't even give an accurate number, at least a couple hundred, but that was all when I was younger and couldn't really understand it and appreciate it. But so like I said, I picked up a camera and I started shooting launches from the beach and whatnot. But after about a year of shooting launches offsite from completely public locations, my work was recognized by the space news outlet called americaspace.com, and their editor was kind enough to give me the chance to cover launches as a professional photographer, like member of the media underneath them, which granted me the on-site access that I still have today. So since February 2016, I've had, for the majority of launches I've shot, I've had media credentials to set cameras at the launch site. So for this Falcon Heavy mission, I'll have, I don't know the exact number yet. I still have to tune my plans to exactly what I want to do, but I'll probably have anywhere from 6 to 8 cameras all around the launch sites at various locations, a couple hundred feet away, maybe half a mile away, that they take us to. And
John,
those cameras, yeah, sure.
Oh, go ahead, dude. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to keep point on the camera issues that you're placing around. Now, these are remotely operated. How are they set off?
Yeah. So because they're so close to the rocket, they have to fire without human intervention, because a lot of the, or I'd say most of the times I'm setting a camera that's going to operate autonomously, it's at a spot in which the sound could either very much hurt me or very much kill me. So I use a device that triggers the camera when it hears the noise of the rocket. So I have to frame up all these shots beforehand, and I'm not actually next to these cameras during liftoff. They're all sound activated.
Wow, it seems to be very technical and very complicated, because I'm sure you have to go in and adjust the zoom and adjust the focus, make sure they're absolutely perfect before you leave the area. Have you had any incidents where you didn't get a great shot?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'd say, I couldn't give you a percentage, but there's a lot of times where things don't go to plan. You nudge the focus the wrong way, you point the camera too low, and by the time the sound reaches your camera, the rocket's gone because you zoomed in too tight. Then one thing to consider is that we are setting these cameras anywhere from 12 to 24 hours or even more ahead of the launch.
Wow.
So our cameras have to sit out in the elements for days if there's a scrub and we're not able to attend to them. So we have to plan for weather, like rain, wind, where we stake down our tripods. So there's a lot of things that can go wrong and prevent usable images, but
okay, we're getting a few questions already directed to you, John.
John,
I'm sorry, Charles.
Drop the ball. Will you tell us your website address?
Please.
Yeah, so it's johnkrausphotos.com, JOHNKRAUS. And I hope you know how to spell photos.
I don't know, man. I only have 2 degrees, but okay.
And the photos from our launch, which people I'm sure will want, you'll have those posted approximately when?
So one thing, if you'll allow me to toot my horn, that one thing that I'm known for, not only in my immediate group of colleagues that I shoot launches with, but the people that follow me and have followed me for a while, is I'm known for getting photos up very, very quickly. So for example, the most recent launch I shot from here was a nighttime Falcon 9 launch and landing. And I don't remember the exact timings of the events, but I know that I had the photo online that I shot, like the one long exposure photograph of the whole scene. I had it online 4 minutes after the rocket touched down. Wow. So that includes, taking the card out of the camera, importing it into my device, editing it, and uploading it. But so you can expect similar turnaround for photos from this mission, but I won't have a comprehensive full gallery until maybe a day or 2 after the launch, because we have to wait to retrieve the cameras at the launch site.
It's a good point, and it's something that I always say in my pre-launch briefings, and I'd say I get about 50% of the people paying attention to it, is, particularly for night launches, but for any launches, do not come to the launch and watch it through the lens of your camera.
That's
Absolutely.
right. That
I
is
agree with
correct.
We have professionals that are doing
it's ironic.
that for us.
It's ironic for me to agree with that, but if
Yeah.
the farthest I'll say you should go, if this is your first launch, and I know for a lot of you guys this will be a memorable, emotional experience, you could set up a camera on a tripod and use a remote release to where you frame your shot, and then you can still watch it and then just hold down a remote. But even then, I think you should, especially for this mission, for many of you guys, devote your attention to the launch itself.
You need to feel it, and that's really
Yeah.
hard. If you've never been to a launch, and all of us here on camera have been, but it reverberates through you. You have to, and at night in particular, again, if we get lucky enough to have a night launch, the flame turns night into day. And you cannot experience that if you're trying to snap a little shot through your iPhone or something. And so you really need to pay attention to that. And I'll say that again a couple of times before we get out there. But you said it correctly, John. This is closure for people, and this is something that's joyful in the wake of a loss. As I always say, we cannot eliminate your grief, but you never see as many high fives or hear as much cheering at a funeral as you do at one of our launch services. And so freeing yourself from your technology a little bit and trusting the experts, and you are an expert, obviously, the results speak for themselves, is really what folks should be doing.
Right. Hey, John, if I could pass on another question from someone who and I like to first off echo exactly what Charles basically said. I've been on a number of launches for Celestis, but I've also lived locally to see and exactly experience a space launch when I decide I want to drive out to Cape. And yes, please do not waste your experience through a viewfinder. Okay, you definitely want to watch this with the naked eye. Take John's experience on automatic exposure, but you definitely want to experience the whole thrill of a space launch, especially from a Falcon Heavy. So this should be interesting for you. But the question comes from LP at large, is what he calls him. He says, both of my parents are on this flight, and I am also a photographer. And if this is a night launch, what is your advice for a time exposure?
I'll give some very vague advice because it does depend on location and whatnot. But generally, you'll want the widest lens you can get your hands on, and it depends on how close you're watching again. But you'll shoot at a narrow aperture around f16 to f20, low ISO, and then just run your exposure for the duration of the launch and landings, and you should be able to capture everything. But,
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Hey, let me ask you a personal question about yourself. Okay. What do your parents, mom or dad, or both, feel about this occupation you're taking on? How do they feel, especially seeing the results of your hard labor?
So they've both been very supportive of it. And so for some more background, I graduated high school, I think a year ago yesterday, actually. And rather than
congratulations, buddy. Congratulations.
Thank you. So rather than pursuing higher education, I decided to go straight into spaceflight photography full time, which I had almost kind of been doing in tandem with school when I was still in school, because I was still operating it as a business and trying to grow it while I was in school. So it just felt like a natural path to take. Yeah, but they've been very supportive. And honestly, they were, without pushing me against my will to pursue it, they were almost accepting of my will to do it before I knew that I wanted to do it. I was really never sure what I wanted to do, but they were accommodating either way.
How about your friends? What do they think?
What, sorry?
How about your friends?
Yeah, a lot of my friends like it. They jokingly refer to me as my website or my Instagram handle, John Kraus Photos. So they all find it amusing, and they're happy for the publications and stuff I see my work in.
Oh, that's incredible. Do you shoot anything other than space shots?
Not enough to say yes and give you a specific genre. I mean, I like landscape photography, but I'm not a landscape photographer. I'll do wildlife every now and then, some astrophotography, but no, ultimately where I stand out is space.
Well, let's see. What other questions do we have here? Guys, if you have any other questions as I scroll through looking for them. What's that?
Can I clarify one thing? I see a comment by Celestis.
Yes.
I graduated a year ago yesterday.
Oh.
I may have cut out. I just wanted to clarify that.
Oh, gotcha.
So I've been out of school for a year now, working toward making this a sustainable full-time thing.
Oh, excellent. Well, it looks like you hit the ground running with what you've done, and I just want to go ahead and show a little bit more. Now, if you go to johnkrausphotos.com, ladies and gentlemen, you'll see more than the 20 photos that I am running through right now. And I didn't want to take all of his photos and show them here, but he has graciously given me some high-res stuff that you can see right now and here. And please visit his website because you'll see more, and hopefully you'll make a purchase of something you really want to hang on your wall, especially with this very, very important event about to happen to you and your loved ones in almost, 30 days, Charles? What's the date of today?
32.
Yeah, 32 days. Okay.
So for a lot of us, we've been waiting a while for it to occur. Not as long as some people have been waiting to fly on Sir Richard's spacecraft, or my previous boss, Deke Slayton, who was one of the original Right Stuff astronauts in 1960, and he didn't get his flight to space until 1975.
Wow.
So what Deke always said, and I try to quote it on all of these, is that there's no premium in on-time failures. And so what space is hard, space flight is hard, being a secondary payload is time consuming, but we're there. OTB is sitting in Florida.
Yes, it is here, folks. Charles, before we go, we still have about 8 minutes right now, and I see a couple more questions that popped up. I think, let me get back to them here. People were asking questions before. Let's see. Is it okay to drive a rental car to the launch area? Oh, hello, Joyce. That's from Joyce Word.
Well, let me answer that by, if you mean the launch observing area. Technically speaking, if you drove it to the launch pad,
that'll be by Joyce.
That would be rewarding. But yes, all of the sites, and I should mention also that while we go out of our way to create specific launch viewing areas that are private, semi-private, I guess I'd say, and have facilities and our staff hosting it, and really try to create a meaningful experience, because we know what it takes to do that. There's, a couple 100,000 other people that are just pulling off the highway and watching it. And if you want to do that, that's perfectly fine. Nobody will charge you unless you park in the wrong place and get a ticket, or you park on somebody's yard. You may have challenges going to the bathroom. You may not. But it's kind of like Woodstock, and there I totally date myself. A Burning Man for the modern era. There's people that come and want to be a part of our events, and there's always a few folks that just say, I'm going to go out and stand on the beach by myself and say goodbye, and we celebrate that.
Yes,
and, encourage you to do that. Just if you do, leave about 3 hours earlier than you anticipate you need to.
Yes, I would recommend, and like I said, it's imperative that you attend our last broadcast for the Heritage launch, because not only will we have updated information, but we'll be reminding you of things that you've probably forgotten thus far. I don't know if this was covered yet or not, Charles, but Matt here says, hello, appreciate you doing these Facebook Lives. They are a big help. Can you let us know a little more of what is on the agenda for the memorial itself?
Sure. The memorial service is really a U-Talk service. Mark will be the master of ceremonies, such as there is, and I will take the advantage to talk a little bit. But what we do is we invite, and we'll do this time, we'll do it in advance because we have so many people. We'll invite the families of each participant. Any family member who is there can come up and say a little something about their loved one who's on board or why they're there. I would recommend that you go to our YouTube channel, just Celestis, and you can watch people talking about it, telling us about their love. It turns out to be one of the best parts of the whole 3 days.
Agreed. Agreed.
I will say we have the Brevard Youth Symphony going to do some music. We have a Scottish bagpiper who will, of course, do the appropriate music as well. But it's a pretty much run by the folks who are there. Now, after that, at the dinner, we'll have Winston Scott, the shuttle astronaut. He was a mission specialist on STS-72 and STS-87. Pulled that one out of my memory. And he provides what it's like to be in orbit discussion. We'll have David Hopper from General Atomics, the guys that built the spacecraft that we're on, tell you about OTB and what's going to happen. Where is it located in the rocket? When will it get released tomorrow? And then you have Charlie, me, and my job usually is, and I always describe it as, I get to talk about the 3 things that will happen tomorrow, 2 of which we won't like. And by that I mean the odds are we'll go out, we'll have a tremendous success and a very meaningful and fulfilling launch. Second in line after that is there might be a delay, but that's spaceflight. And it's like a golf swing. A whole lot of things got to go right for a rocket to take off and perform flawlessly, and nobody wants to light the candle when it's not time. And the third thing is very unlikely these days, much more likely 25 years ago when we started, you'll have a launch failure. And for that, of course, you all know that we refly your loved one again at no cost. And my perspective has always been that I plan to sign up when my time comes for this. And if for some reason I don't make it to space on the first try, strap me on and fly me again. And that's sort of the end of the pre-launch briefing. But it's really compelling. I recommend that you try to make it for that because again, the sense of camaraderie is it's easy to talk about. It's difficult to effectively describe. But there's 200, 300 people from all around the world. We're going to have a contingent from Japan. We'll have people from the UK. We may have people from Europe and other nations, as well as multiple states. None of y'all have ever met each other before, but by the end of the 3-day event, many of you will be in touch with each other forever. And that's why we configure the service the way that we do. But as I said, if you just want to come and know that your loved one is on board, come to the memorial service. That's all you want to do, and then go out, and you don't want anybody around you, and you want to find a place that nobody's at. Again, somebody asked me the other day, well, can you see it from the hotels of Cocoa Beach? And I said, you can see it for 100 miles away.
I see it from my front door, and I'm here in Orlando.
So if that's your choice, we salute you and honor you. But also, as I said, we've been doing this for 25 years and 16 missions. We know how to, I think, put on an event, which is what it is, that warrants your loved one, that it respects, honors, and celebrates, and helps you achieve the dream that you know your loved one had, or that you have for your loved one.
Okay, Charlie, I'm going to give you a choice. We do have a few more questions. Some I think will lead to a lengthy answer. Should we tackle those now, or should we have them answered via our website?
Let's do them now, Mark, because
Okay.
We've got folks who've given us the questions. Let's try to answer as many as we can.
I agree. And John, don't you go anywhere. We're not done with you yet, young man.
Haha. Okay.
All right, stand by. Okay, here comes one. It's pretty lengthy, so I'm not going to put it up. I'm going to read it. This is from Jerry Hampton. Jerry asks, are you suggesting we purchase airline tickets yet? Also, I concur that Celestis will go to the end of the earth to reach out and communicate with us, i.e., we were scheduled to be out of email contact and requested a cell phone call from Celestis on hotel info when released. We literally were camping on the very remote Northern California Lost Coast when we got the call from Celestis with the hotel registration info. Thank you again. I missed the question. The
answer is yeah. We do. That's a good question. We bought our tickets, and we recommend that you do. Just don't buy non-changeable tickets.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes the cheapest ones lock you in and you don't get a refund or you can't change them. That's a roll of the dice that I don't recommend you do.
Yeah. Very important.
I'm gonna plug,
not purchase non-refundable tickets because
definitely fly.
I'm sorry, John?
Definitely. When I travel for launches, I book through Southwest because you can reschedule. So definitely
right. If Southwest comes here for some. So yeah, I fly Southwest all the time myself. So make sure non-refundable. Let's see. Kelly asked a very cute, nice, interesting, regal question. She says, can we toast to our loved ones with a small glass of champagne at the viewing site?
Well, yes. One of the sites will serve you. The other one, you just kind of got to sneak it in. But
whoa!
Before, and we don't endorse it. There are no policemen with billy clubs not allowing you to do that either. So people find a way to celebrate.
Yeah, I just need to add a disclaimer here for a moment. Celestis Incorporated does not endorse our Woodstock employee here of smuggling in alcoholic beverages, but if you do, please bring me a bottle. Thank you. Okay. Let's see, what else do we have here, John? Will there be food and drinks available at the launch viewing site? If not, can we bring some with us? That pretty much falls in the line of what you said previously.
Well, just to yes, the answer is yes. At both sites we're considering, we'll be providing.
Okay, and I think we cleared it. That's it. Okay, I think we could go ahead and end this with John, pretty much telling him how much we appreciate what he's doing for us and with us. I also like to thank, of course, our CEO and grand guru here, Charles Chafer, for, of course, bringing us up to date and surprising us with the rocket being in town here and informing us of any updates that may come and enlightening us on what to expect. And you're going to have a great time regardless of anything that happens. It's going to be fantastic. Charles, any ending words for you?
No, tune in June 17th for the next Facebook Live. And again, if you're registered with us, we'll, as was demonstrated by the comment, we will reach out to you and make sure that you get the latest information as we get it. Just make sure that your spam filters permit us and that your current contact information is with us. Otherwise, it's getting close. It goes fast at this point.
Yeah, I'm excited because I know how these things work, and I'm really excited being a part of another one. So this is going to be fantastic. We're going to go ahead and shoot John with a couple more questions. If you guys have any questions for John, you can go ahead and post them quickly. If not, make sure you visit his website, which is at JohnKrausPhotos.com. John Kraus is Kraus, by the way, John, John, John Kraus Photos.com. And John, you're going to shoot some photos at the memorial services as well? Was that in the plan?
It depends on my pre-launch activities, which are likely to interfere with that, so I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah. Charles, we'll have someone there anyway for photographs.
Yeah.
Okay. As you can see, guys, John's work is fantabulous, so make sure you go to his website, ask questions, make a purchase, meet and greet him when you see him during the launch. Those of you that cannot make our launch, we're so sorry. We wish you were there. You will be there in spirit. You'll be there in our hearts and minds and souls. And we'll make sure that we do a fantastic job for you for our next Celestis launch, the Heritage Flight at Cape Canaveral. Charles, thank you so much for joining us. I'll talk to you soon, boss.
Okay.
John, thank you so much for everything.
Thank you.
And we will be signing off right now. Any other questions from anyone, just go ahead and ask them on our Facebook page or our website, or pick up the telephone. We'll be glad to answer any questions you may have concerning this launch. Thank you guys so much. We'll be talking to you again on June 17th. Okay, June 17th, our final broadcast concerning the Heritage launch. So let's make sure you're there. And that's it for me. I'm your ambassador, Mark B. Lee, and God bless. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, guys.